And we officially begin with our webinar today, The Science and Magic of Open Dialogue, with Ludmila Frolova, our ICC trainer from Russia and Denmark. And this will be a very interesting webinar because we will be giving, Ludmila will be giving an introduction to one of our upcoming courses, online courses, which are in high demand right now for training coaches and for developing extra skills to enlighten and strengthen our work and our labor as coaches. So I hope you enjoy this webinar. Thank you, Ludmila, for being here. Hi, Ludmila, how are you?
Hi, I'm very inspired and I'm very grateful for the possibility for me to present the tool and the methodology which can add very well to resources of trainers and coaches and people of different professions who are, I hope, here to see.
Exactly. It will be very interesting. I really look forward to all the information to be shared here in this space. If you have any questions or comments, please write them on the chat dialogue or in the questions section. You can also write your questions or comments, and at certain points during the session, Ludmila will be addressing your questions and comments. So let's begin. Thank you, Ludmila.
Good, thank you very much. So as Alexis already has presented me, I'm ICC trainer and coach, and I'm happy to be there for you with this presentation of Science and Magic of Open Dialogue. And science and magic, it sounds very kind of like opposite. And science is the basis of the methodology of open dialogue method and practice. And magic is how I and many people who gave feedbacks on their practice are experiencing. And it will be interesting how you will experience it if you would like to come further on our courses, where two of models will be practice of open dialogue. So it is working for me magically, easily, and coming from inside. I will talk more about that. And open dialogue method is a practice for long and healthy life, which is natural for all living systems. And the basis, the scientific fundament of methodology of open dialogue is the theory of living systems, which was created of one of Russian neurophysiologists of the last century. When our health is better, then it is a basis for supporting warm, trustful personal relationships in our private life and business. And also, again, the opposite. The more good quality of relationships we have with our surroundings, close people, people at work, at business, with our friends, the better health we have. It's a very important part of our health, because it's actually the essence of our health, because evolutionary dynamics of all living systems is showing that living systems have a social nature, and our social sphere of life is the most important for our health. As one of the most knowledgeable and recognized specialist in evolutionary dynamics, Martin Nowak from Harvard University, he, in his book, Super Cooperators, is saying that long ago it was an idea that that is surviving better, who is stronger and quicker and can jump higher, but the life and the more evolutionary dynamics is showing that those who can cooperate, collaborate better, have much more success by doing things together. And what is open dialogue about? It is about mostly about that quality of relationships is strengthening the immune system of people and living systems. And this, in our time, especially in this moment, is so important. And quality of relationships is standing for that. And breaking contacts with people has a negative effect on all life spheres, on our work, on our self-feeling, how we feel ourselves, and our self-realization. It is a great resource for healthy life in all spheres of our life. And open dialogue is a communicative method. It is helping to improve quality of social contacts, to reach a high level of communication quality in personal life, in business life, in working life, in self-realization, which also is influence our financial life. It helps to see also our real problems, because through practicing open dialogue, we learn to know ourselves much better, to understand ourselves much better, and to be much more aware of our own way of thinking, way of feeling, way of expressing our emotions, and way of acting, taking actions. And the practice of open dialogue, where does it come from? It is created by a Russian doctor, scientist, and very active person, Dmitriy Shamenkov, who is a little bit more than 40 years old, but he has a great experience, both as a doctor, a businessman, a scientist, a researcher, and a person who is specialist in different spheres. He is a director of informational and social technologies in medicine department in Sechenov Medical University in Moscow, in Russia, which he has himself being a diplomat, kind of, he got a diploma, which is of highest quality as a person who finished this university several years ago. And he created two methodologies, the scientific methodology of open dialogue and the practice of open dialogue, and also he is a founder and author of system of awareness-based health management. So the scientific methodology of open dialogue is based on the theory of functional systems, which neurophysiologist Petr Anokin has used a lot of his work and time and awareness to learn to know how living systems are functioning, what are the principles of most optimal functioning of living systems, and this is health. Because all living systems, we can start with a cell. They function the way that they are a part of bigger system. A cell is a part of an organ. An organ is a living system which is a part of a bigger living system, an organism of an animal or a person or an insect. And a child who is born is coming in a family, and a family is a bigger system for a person, close surroundings, a bigger system for each person. The closest surroundings, people of family, relatives, and relationships in the team of business or work, and the society which a person is a part of is also an element of bigger system. For example, all the country, or the country is a part of bigger system, humanity, all human beings in the world, and Earth, humanity, nature, everything on Earth is a part of bigger system, cosmos, universe, solar system, which is a part of universe and cosmos. And this research he made has a big impact in the development of understanding of theory of living systems. And Dmitry, in the role of Russian physiologists who made their impact in it, Ivan Pavlov, Pyotr Anokin, who made the main job researching the life of functional systems, and Konstantin Sudakov, who was the professor of Turchinov University and a scientific leader of Dmitriy Shamenkov when he was creating his work, self-awareness and awareness-based health management system. And Dmitry, what was his very important impact in it? It is that he was the first who was using these theoretical principles into practice, so that people can use this practice based on principles of living systems to improve their health, to make their health better, or to maintain their health. And what is health? How the science understanding health of living systems. It is all living systems are created to live the best quality of their life and as long as possible. And people have everything in our system, we people, to live much longer life than any long life people know in the world were living. Our system has everything for that. And not only to live it, but to live high quality of our life. Because health is a meta goal of all living systems. And health is not only the lack of a physical disease. Health is a state of complete physical, emotional, mental, and social well-being. And also the absence of disease and physical well-being, and also well-being of our self-realization when we freely and fully, in a creative way, use the whole of our potential. And by this, we can also create a financial well-being in our life, which gives us also a quality of external part of our quality life. This is the definition of World Health Organization of health. And academic Sudakov, the professor of Turchinov University, is defining it like happiness or health, which almost the same as happiness, is a state of optimal, best possible life activity of the system, and creative self-actualization with a positive emotional tone. And shortly, a little bit more about Dmitry, his background. As I said, he's director of informational and social technology for medical use. And he's also in the Sechenov University. He's neurophysiologist. He's a founder of online school of health management system and also open dialogue practice. He's also mentor and a member of board of experts at Skolkovo Fund in Moscow. And this is a big educational and scientific and business center. And he's author of 28 research publications and 18 patents in the field of nanotechnologies, cells biotechnologies, regenerative medicine, and physiology of functional systems. And he also is a member of Professional Psychotherapeutic League of American Psychological Association and many other associations. He's a specialist of awareness-based health management in family medicine, psychology of health, and organizational psychology. Dmitry is married and he is father of 4 children. And the principle of self-regulation is a forming principle of any living system. Self-regulation means that in the functional systems of the body, deviation of the result of functional systems activity from the level determining normal activity causes all elements of the functional system to work towards its return to the optimal level, just by itself, because the mechanism of self-regulation is inbuilt in every living system. And this is the basis of the possibility of any living system to function and to live quality life as long as possible. And what are the principles of living systems which make them possible to function in this way? One of them is that health is universal goal for all living systems. Because health is equal to have quality life in all spheres of life of the system and very long. If anything in the world could live and functional so it could be so long. But everything in the world also has a cyclus principle, and that's why it has a stop for starting another cycle in some way. So goal drives our perception and behavior. And this is what Pyotr Anokhin has found out watching and learning very thoroughly how our living systems function. Because his teacher, Ivan Pavlov, a Russian physiologist who also academician who got Nobel Prize for his learning and researches in highest nerve system. His idea, and he also made experiments with the dogs. Maybe somebody remember about them. His postulate is that behavior and perception of living system is driven by past material stimuli. And this is a kind of the main principle of behaviorism method. And we also know that very well because we all have habits. And the habits are coming just automatically provoked over external stimuli. For example, his experiment with dogs was that during several repetitions, 3-4 times, when each time the dog was eating food, he was ringing a bell. And then when the pattern was created, a kind of reaction per reflex on this clock which was ringing. He was a kind of acknowledging again and again that ringing the clock, he could see how all the system of the dog was already a kind of without food, digesting food, eating this food because of salvation, because of the liquids in his stomach, which is coming to digest the food. So this was his proof of this. And on the other side, Petr Anokhin, he made his experiments which prove that behavior and perception of the living system is driven by the goal, the future result of actions of the living system. And the goal which we have now is information model of the future result. But the future result is driving our perception. And we also all know it. For example, when I am going to travel and need to pack my bag, then I think about the future result when I'm already at the place of my traveling, which clothes I'm there. Because now it's winter, for example, where I live in Denmark, and there on, for example, Thailand, where I'm going to go to have a holiday, it's warm. So I'm there in the future result, experience myself in summer clothes, and that is influencing my action now. I go and take my summer clothes and put them in the bag. So, and the power of habit is a key to give us keys to new and healthy dynamic stereotype, so that we can experience ourselves. What I experience now, is it in coordination with my future result, which I want to get? Or is it an automatical response on some previous experience provoked by some trigger? And then I can ask myself, what is my real goal? And to move my focus to my real goal. And starting point of how I feel and how we feel is the feedback of our system about our health state. What we feel, our emotions. Here is the main part of the practice of open dialogue. Because what happens in the group of people who are practicing open dialogue, we don't have a dialogue in a usual way. We don't discuss something. We don't talk with each other. Because Open dialogue is a personal practice. Every person who is coming in a group of practice open dialogue is coming for himself, to get rid of some problems, to solve some tasks, and to reach some goals during the practice, or to move towards the goals which are lying further on in the future after the practice of open dialogue. And the starting point is then we need to know what we feel, because the only thing we do in this open dialogue group, we watch our feeling from now, from this present moment. By this, we are training our ability to be in the present, not in the past, as we very often are, not in the future, in our imagination, in our daydreams, but in the now, which is the real place to be. And we know from our coaching practice, those who are coaches here, that presence is the coach state. A well-qualified, experienced coach is in the high quality of presence for his clients, for the moment, being focused on the client, in the presence, in the now. And it's important to learn how we feel for maintaining our health and reaching our health. Because this is feedback to us from our system. And a lot of people, and I personally know it very well from my work with the clients as a coach, has difficulty to feel their feelings, to feel their emotions. Sometimes it's easy to see the person is talking from his head, not from his feelings. And to talk from the feelings for a client of coaching is a greater step for success of the coaching session. Because our feelings can tell us very many important things. Our feelings their function is to be a signal, to make signals of our needs. And it's very important for a person to know his needs, because if I don't know my needs, which are maybe very important for the quality of my inner being, then how can I fulfill my needs? And very often, by learning not to feel our feelings, a lot of people go to the needs which are artificial. They are not our real needs, but they are a kind of erstatning. It's a Danish word, erstatning, in something instead of, because the most important goal for a person's quality of being is feeling of satisfaction. And we can be satisfied of a high quality of our inner being, just feeling inner, yes, it is called happiness. And the happiness, we also know it in coaching from a kind of positive psychology. For example, the researches of Martin Seligman, that it is our natural state. Natural state of any living system is a high quality of satisfaction of the moment, life moment, feeling alive. And children know it when they feel safe, when they know, a little child, when it knows my mother is any moment with me, when I need it, if there is some, maybe something threatening, then the child is happy, because this is a great feeling of life, exploring life, being creative, doing something, realizing the potential, learn something new. And this is the real feeling of happiness. When we are healthy, when nothing is preventing us from being in the contact with the best possible inner feeling. And very early, unfortunately, I think all people in the world, happens that there are situations when we learn the opposite, when we learn to feel unlucky, unhappy, not understood, being sorrowed, and feeling pain, psychological pain, which actually is having the response in our brain from the same point of brain which is responsible for our physical pain. That's why people often mix physical pain and emotional pain. And it's very important to learn to feel our self-feeling. And a good ability to feel self-feeling is both to be able to feel pleasant feelings, pleasant emotions, and what we call negative feelings, negative emotions. But they are not negative in the way that they are very important for us, because they give us information, they give us feedback about how our system is functioning in the moment and what does it need to function better. And that's why we need to learn to feel our unpleasant feelings, unpleasant emotions, to learn to accept them without judging them, just feeling, being with them. The biggest distractions which prevent us from the way of health is the destructive goals of fighting and resistance. When we fight with our feeling, when we resist to feel ourselves. And this is stereotypes from past experience, because in almost all societies, to express emotions is forbidden. And children very early learn, boys don't cry, girls need to be a good girl. Children learn that love is not often unconditional, that they learn that they need to take a mask and to a kind of adopt to the expectations of the most important people, parents or those who are instead of them. And then most of the people, or many people, forget that it is a mask because it's a survival. Or we decide that it is survival. And sometimes it's almost a survival for some children, unfortunately. And health from the point of view of, sorry, because something is preventing me to see what is written there. Health contains all aspects of life, and from the point of view of physiology, health is a norm. And as I told already, in all spheres of our life, emotional health, mental and physical health, Social health is the quality of our social relationships. Economical health is ability to earn money as a result of our self-realization, our ability to create, to be in service of service to other people, our self-actualization development, and how we realize our potential in our lives. And there are some examples of how relationships plays a big role in health. Harvard Grant study was during 75 years along studies most important findings that relationships matter more than anything else for people's health. And George Valiant, the Harvard psychiatrist, in his study, which he was doing from 1972 to 2004, he made the conclusion that a man could have a successful career, money, good physiological health, but without supportive, loving relationships, he wouldn't be happy. And being happy is almost the synonym of being healthy. And also Nicholas Christakis, who is a researcher, a professor of medical sociology, head of Human Nature Lab in Harvard University, who has written several books, and one is called Connected. He is writing that our unavoidable embeddedness in social networks means that events occurring to other people, whether we know them or not, can ripple through the network and affect us. A key factor determining our health is, in fact, the health of others. So it's very important what society do we create around. It's very important. Like normally people connect and socialize with the people who has close values. We know it, for example, health value, for somebody satisfaction by unhealthy thing, and it's something different, and so on. And of course there are close people to all of us whom we cannot a kind of exchange with anybody. And open dialogue is a practice which is based on the principles of living systems. First of all, as I said already, it's personal practice. Every person comes for that to practice the quality of emotions, because by expressing, first step, learning to feel emotions from the moment right now, what do I feel? And by expressing them honestly, what I really feel. Of course, there are situations, there are feelings which we feel shy to express because they are not acknowledged in the life and a kind of in the society, and maybe feeling shame to express the feelings. But in the open dialogue group, which is maximum 9 people plus certified facilitator of open dialogue, we create a safe place, secure place by some agreements which are very important for all participants. So, personal practice. And why then are we a group? Because this is our social body. And it is not just some people sitting in a bus. It's not a living group. It's not a living system. But what is making a group of people to a living system, to a living group? It's a common goal. And the common goal for all living systems is health in the whole understanding, in the understanding of health in each spheres. So it's a group practice. And facilitator is telling about the principles and telling about the main goal, our meta goal, common goal for all participants. And this is the beginning. And then this facilitator is asking each and every person to recognize and to confirm that the person is agree to participate using these principles and agree with the health goal of the system, of the group, the health goal. After that, people start practicing. Next principle, which is very important, is non-distortion of information. In any living system, when information goes from one part of the system to another, and it is not distorted, it doesn't lose the meaning, which is the information which is in this message, then the system is going on to functional in an optimal way. For example, when information goes from our brain to some organ in our system, if it is distorted on the way, then the organ doesn't get the meaning which was sent, and then it starts functioning in a different way because it got some distorted information. And then information from this organ to another organ goes in a distorted way, and the system starts gradually to destroy itself and is coming to total destroyment. That's why it is very important, not distorted information. And it means when we express our feelings, it is very important to be honest and sincere, according with the goal which we are coming for and according to the agreements which participants make. And it's very important that we agree not to tell stories and not to tell concepts, ideas, because when we tell concepts, it doesn't make our healthier, because a concept is a concept. But what I feel when I'm telling some thoughts or ideas is very important, because our feelings are very connected to our physiology. And when we express our feelings, people give response that they feel relaxation, that sometimes this relaxation is so big that they say a big heavy bag person was bearing fell down. And when we relax so naturally and so deeply, our blood circulation is better. And this is the most important possibility for self-regulation system start functioning much better. So open dialogue is based on these principles of living systems. What can I also tell? That there are models of a course where I will tell much more deeper and detailed information about these principles. And I will give much more sources, scientific sources, such as I did today, mentioning Martin Nowak, a specialist in evolutionary dynamics, and for example, Nicholas Christakis, who has written the book Connected, and many, many others. So those who are interested can go to the sources, read the most modern researches. What I also want to tell, going back to the start of what I was telling about the author of the method, Dmitry. As I said, he was the first one in the row of researchers about living systems that he made the practice of it, who people can use, which people can use. And what is also important, that he is basing his this open dialogue practice both on the studies of Piotr Anokin and the role of Russian physiologists and neurophysiologists. And he is supporting this by also observing and thoroughly watching what is happening in the most new global researches in these fields, in the fields of evolutionary dynamics, social biology, for example, researches about bacteria, how they socialize to survive in the sphere of, in the circumstances where people create a lot of antibiotics, and this is how they try to survive. Maybe people can learn from it also their selfishness in the way they survive as a social beings. So, and in neurophysiology, where he himself make very important researches. So now I think it's time to questions. And I will ask Alexis to help me because...
If you have any questions about the fundamentals of the methodology or any part of the contents that were shared today, please share them in the chat or in the questions box for Ludmila to address right now. You can also ask us questions about the upcoming course or any other specific questions you may have. Your comments are also welcome. So let's give it a moment.
I stopped about telling about the principles which we use in the practice. And one of them is acceptance. It means we don't fight with what already happened. I have my feeling, and it is doesn't help anything to fight with it. It gives the opposite. We, during our many years practice to hide our feelings, have learned to tense our muscles, and many people have chronic tenses and very fast muscles and the lack of flexible and a kind of living flexibility in the body, and it is influencing our blood pressure very badly. So it's very important to practice acceptance. Acceptance actually it doesn't mean that a person, for example, says, okay, I'm an angry person and I learn to accept it. And so it is me and so I will be. No, it doesn't mean that. It means only that in the moment of now, I accept my feeling, but I have a goal to feel free and happy instead of feeling angry. And when I accept, in Danish language, there is a very interesting verb, which is coming from the word room. In English, room is a room, a living room, a space. And in Danish, there is a verb which is called at rumme, to give place, to make space for this. Because when we fight, we kind of try to lock it down, and here comes tension. But when we just give place to that, this is, here comes magic, because the feeling disappears. It's just smelling out. And every moment I experience this, it's amazing how it works. And it's very important to learn to accept our own unpleasant feelings, to give them place, give them space, and it disappears.
That's great. And there's one question in the chat. It says, would it be possible to use this method in companies now that there are loads of trauma with COVID?
That's what is the model 3 of the course, Open Dialogue for Business. I will tell how great it is working for companies, for the teams, because this is the biggest problem in all companies, and biggest kind of block or limitation to come to success is relationships between people in the team, between co-workers, between a leader and a team, between owners and leaders, also between owners. In some companies, a board of directors is a place where people cannot find agreement because they all are directors. And I would say that Dalai Lama, who everybody know, I'm sure, was saying that it is not important to fight for who is right. It's important to give place to love, because love and acceptance, when you don't find, when you just accept unconditionally, they are equal. When we practice acceptance, this is automatically is practicing love. And we who practice coaching, we know that we all have different models of the world, our inner reality. And from one model of the world, one thing is right. And when we forget that other people has different models of the world, people try to say, oh, I'm right, I know it. Yes, it's like that in my model of the world, but another person has another reality. And what is wonderful, that in a group of open dialogue, we also learn not only to feel our feelings, we learn to feel other people's feelings, to do this, to practice this empathic feeling. Because when we have, when we feel another person's feeling, we actually feel our own feeling. This is the mirror structures in our brain. The mirror structures do that we identify with other people. As children, until we are 5, maybe 3, 5, 7 years old, children learn through deep identification with the people surrounding. So we all know how we can feel other people's feelings. And in the group where there are up to 9 other people, we feel that maybe I came in the group as, let's say metaphorically, 2D. And during the group, my perception became wider and has more facets. And I became maybe 5D or 7D. This is wonderful to feel other people's livings. And we also have some structures in our brain, which together with this, giving us a possibility to stay ourselves, to maintain being ourselves. And this is wonderful that we can both at the same moment. Understanding better, because as Nicholas Christakis is writing in his book, we all are connected, and feeling other people's better gives us a possibility to much higher quality of communication through the feelings, through our emotions, in a much higher quality level, and with acceptance. And then the teams in business has much better results and success. And in the model 3, I will be telling about examples which was made in the School of Open Dialogue by companies in Russia. There are great examples and great success. And also, I want to tell that to come to the practice, the model 4 and 5 is very important. I can tell so many about open dialogue, but people really understand when they practice. And in the models 1, 2, and 3, we will be doing some practice. So you will be able to experience in a shorter practice, but model 4 and 5 is very important to get a full experience. And also, I would say that to come to model 4 and 5, you need to participate at least in one of the models. Model for health, open dialogue for relationships, or open dialogue for business. There is some common part of it, the principle of open dialogue, but in each model it will be, I will tell about that with examples according to the theme, health or relationships or business, and also new information which is especially for this sphere, and practice. So you are welcome to the course, and I will be happy to share because actually it is enriching people who come to practice, and I already have met very many because I'm a certified facilitator and instructor in the School of Open Dialogue. And it didn't make my love to coaching and neurolinguistics, where I'm a master trainer of neurolinguistic psychology, less. No, it's the opposite, because it gives me much more resources to be a better coach, a better trainer, and a better person. Because when I have first time learned about open dialogue. And it was just a person I know, actually our former student of coaching in Kiev, Ukraine. He sent me a link. Dmitriy Shamenkov has a lot of, he's very generous. He's making a lot of presentations. And in YouTube, it is a lot of his presentations. And of course, 99% of them is in Russian. Right now, in this special situation with Corona, he's every day doing up to 3-4 live presentations as a doctor, as a medical person, explaining people what is happening and how it's good to behave and so on in this situation to be more safe and more maintain the health. So, yes, we will practice.
Ludmila, there are a couple more questions that are interesting. I don't know if you already addressed this. It says, do you also believe that human cannot be happy without supportive, loving relationships?
I believe that a person can be happy by loving others. But a person cannot be happy by not feeling love. In 2001, I was participating Anthony Robbins. I hope everybody knows who he is. His course in London. And he was doing a lot of, presenting a lot of a kind of metaphors, stories from his own life. And the main theme was love. And when Anthony Robbins said, I want to make a demonstration if somebody has a problem, and the person said, oh, I didn't get enough love in my life as a child. Anthony Robbins said, but who did? It is just, many people has experienced that. It's not a big problem. But he said, pay attention, you are sitting here in your present grown-up age. It means you have got enough love to survive until this age. And the rest is your own responsibility to love yourself, to love people around you. Because he said, if you didn't get enough love, really not enough love, then a little child cannot survive. Human beings, children in a very early age, cannot physically survive without love. And I believe that people cannot be happy without love. But when a person doesn't get enough love from the surroundings, from close people, that which can help this person to be happy, to start experiencing love to somebody, to a cat, to a dog, to a neighbor, to some living, to nature, to a flower, to whom a person is giving water on his window. Because not having this love, it means to live in the moon. Can you imagine somebody living totally disconnected to all people? Because connection is love or hate. What is making people more happy? How do you think? Or not hate, but fear, for example.
Of course. And there's another question. They ask, is there a variation for different cultures? As many countries have different cultures towards showing emotions.
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure. And that's why I'm looking forward to have practice with people from different cultures. Because right now I was experiencing open dialogue only with Russian-speaking people who are from different geographical places. For example, we have participants, it's online practice. I would tell you, it's Zoom practice. We practice online. And it's amazing how people online can feel the feelings of other people. It's really amazing that space doesn't exist in some way, space and distance in some way doesn't exist. And many people who now do not have ability to be physically in contact and have big distance from each other, really learn how it is possible through the internet, being connected very deeply. So we have participants from Los Angeles, from New York, from Europe, and from Vladivostok, which is the most eastern part of Russia. So, but they have all background of Russia. So this year, 2020, is the year where already some of facilitators of open dialogue started to practice in different languages. For example, one of facilitator is having a practice already for French people in French. And I'm looking forward to, oh, by the way, last January, I was on Pangan, it's place in Thailand. And there was a group of, international group of, they call themselves, how it's called, just a moment. Okay, it's has flown away from me, but it is a personal development practice who are there. It's not an open dialogue, but they know very well Dmitriy Shamenkov, and they have heard about his practice open dialogue, and they asked if some facilitators can come and hold the practice. So I was there. There were people participating from Ukraine, from Asia, such countries as I think it was from Indonesia, from Malaysia, from Singapore, some people, and several people also from Europe. So it was an international amount of people, and there were 4 or 5 groups of 9 people. So it was about 50 persons. And they all got very satisfactive experience. There was very positive response, and different people shared what did it mean for them. So I'm sure there are nuances, of course, and I'm sure that all living systems in this or that way has these principles of functioning in the most good way, the most healthy way. So it would be very interesting to learn. And I'm, as a person who is with Russian background, and I'm already 30 years, since 1990, live in Denmark, in quite different culture, European culture. And I'm looking forward to start my own practice my own practice in the way that I, as facilitator, will hold, because it's only me who know Danish language, start groups in Danish, And I want to start groups in English also, because I know some people who already want to practice, who are English-speaking people. I know somebody in Sweden who is Swedish-American, and she wants to practice, and some other people. So it will be very interesting for me to learn the special nuances, how to practice with people of different cultures.
Very interesting. Finally, Suzanne asks, does it mean that people who are very sensitive and who easily show their true emotions, like an open book, are finally a step ahead, a step forward?
Step forward, you mean allow themselves to go in this practice?
As I understand, well, Suzanne, you correct us if I'm mistaken. Does it mean that people who easily show and are very sensitive to their emotions are further ahead than people who don't?
It is not only about emotions. Yes, there are people who very good can feel their feelings. But the thing is, what is their goal? The people who are coming to practice of open dialogue is the people who experience some problems to solve in their life. But if a person is living a healthy and happy life, why should he come for open dialogue? Then he maybe doesn't need it. But if a person has some need to feel better in some way, and to feel means to have a better feeling of his life, happier feeling of his life, then any person will get a good result from participating in open dialogue. And maybe, yes, some people come and from first time already express their feelings. But it's not only to learn to express feelings, which is the main starting point of participating and the process of open dialogue, but to express them according to some agreements we make. And we make agreements which help to feel safe. And this is totally rejecting violence. And what is violence? Critique is violence. And we don't say you. There's no communication in a normal way. We only say, I feel, and then tell what we feel, express this feeling. We don't say, you said something wrong, which is not according to our agreements, and that makes me feel. Because this is a distortion. To believe that somebody can influence my feeling, it is a distortion, because the reality is that we don't feel our feelings from now. These feelings are coming as patterns from here is coming this stimulus response principle of movement. And these are unhealthy feelings which are coming. I mean, feelings of which are not supporting our health, our happiness. Feelings of shame or fear or anger, that kind of feelings. So the open dialogue is giving also a very healthy mindset by these principles, which we agree to hold during the practice. And of course, people make mistakes, they forget about these agreements, or sometimes they remember it mentally, but emotionally they can't stop seeing you, and so on. And this is, for somebody, is a challenge to learn to accept other people's mistakes So it is very effective practice, what I can say. And I'm happy to present it as I could. I'm sorry for my not perfect English, and I hope it was understandable English, better more than less. And I would say I feel a challenge, but by not seeing anybody but my own screen with this information of the slides.
Yes,
And
I know what you mean. Yes, uh,
challenging.
but I think there were many participants today, so I think it would have been impossible to see everybody's cameras. Anyway, but it was very interesting. I have shared the link to the course on the chat for anyone to access. You know, the course's information about dates, prices, contents. If you have any further questions, feel free to write us. You can contact us through the website. You can write me at alexis@internationalcoachingcommunity.com, and I'll gladly answer all your questions or comments. Do you have any closing remarks, Ludmila?
I just again want to say I feel grateful. Um, I feel a kind of, how is it in English? I feel full of something very good feeling.
That's very good.
I, I will look in my vocabulary how is it called?
You're
Yes,
full of good feelings. I think that says it all in pretty good words. And I also end this webinar with the same sensation. I hope all of those who are watching also have the same feeling, and I hope they'll join us. I hope they'll join us on this upcoming course, which will be extremely interesting.
yes, I'm really looking forward to meet at least people for one group, at least 9 people to every model, then we can practice together. And if there will be more, I will invite other facilitators who are English speaking and who can help to make 2 or 3 groups and so on, so that we can.
So it will be very interesting. Great. So thank you, Ludmila. Thank you to everybody who attended today. I hope to be seeing you all very soon on the upcoming course, and have a great and safe day. Goodbye.